Maximally awesome. I'm Nick Youssef.
I'm Kevin Christy.
I slowed it down that time on purpose.
It's not going to be every time.
Okay, I was going to see if you were...
No.
Yeah. I literally welcome to... I'm Nick Youssef.
No.
Like a robot.
No.
Okay. Well, we're here.
Yep.
It is January 12th, a Tuesday. Hope your New Year's going well. We'll make the intro short and quick, as I don't really have much to promote. But
that's not me.
Who is that?
I don't know.
Is that me?
It must be. It's not me.
Where's that coming from? Is that my phone? It just decided to start playing David Bowie. That was fucking weird.
Must have told your Wi-Fi to do it or something.
I opened my calendar and it was all, oh, this is necessary now.
Were you listening to it in your car?
I was listening to it earlier, but it was like not even, it was not playing, and I didn't even pull up the Apple Music thing. Whoa.
Look, guys.
Wow. So real quick, before the spirit of a legend takes over my phone again.
Yeah.
Wilmington, North Carolina, I'm going to be headlining the Dead Crow Comedy Club 29th and 30th of January. So if you live in North Carolina, come to that. And then the following week, February 2nd through 7th, oh, it's so many days, Las Vegas, the Improv at Harrah's. All week, it's going to feel like a decade. If you live out there, come to the shows, or tell me what and where to go eat and do things, because I'm basically going to be moving there for fucking a week. And then, I'm sorry, Irvine. I'm playing the Irvine Improv January 21st through 23rd. And February 18th through the 21st, the Chicago Improv. All that stuff will be on my website, nickyoussef.com. Gigs. Come to those shows. Chicago, North Carolina, Vegas. And more to be added and more to be announced on this podcast and on my website. And what do you got? You going anywhere?
I'll be at the store. Yeah.
And then Neil show still, right?
Yeah, Neil show every Sunday. Neil Brennan Friends, West Side Comedy Theater.
Great night of comedy, that show.
Been very good lately.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's always good. You mean audience-wise?
Just audience-wise. It's been like super full lately.
The workshop show is still going to go on, by the way. You guys, some of you have come to that. There's going to be... I'm still working on the January date, so there's going to be one then, February and March. What's one Wednesday a month? It's a new material night I host at the Comedy Store with just awesome comics. It's not going to be like a Comedy Store lineup. I don't want it to be like that. So it'll be, you'll see one or two guys from there, and then just like really funny, cool comics from around town that should be at the Comedy Store and will be because they're going to be on the show. So those lineups will be, I'll announce them here and website and Twitter and all that. So that's a good show. Rogan does it a lot. And everyone's doing new stuff. So even if you see a lot of comedy, you'll see all these guys doing brand new shit. So I think I know I'm forgetting something, but
we're gonna have a new T-shirt soon.
Oh, that's right. What's going on with that?
This week I'm finally not sick. I had to go to an actual doctor, which is weird. Yeah, I had to go to urgent care.
Urgent care?
Not an urgent care clinic, not the emergency room.
Oh,
yeah.
What happened?
I had an actual fucking respiratory infection. It was so lame. It wouldn't go away. Normally you get a cold, 3-4 days, you lay in bed, take a bunch of Dayquil, NyQuil, one away.
Yeah.
This would not go away. I had to go get actual antibiotics.
What the fuck? What happened? Is that a thing that's going around?
I guess, yeah. They said there's just
Is it contagious?
Well, I think at one point it was, but usually contagion.
So who do you think you got it from?
I got it from Dean. He was the only sick person I was been around lately, and he got sick in San Francisco. We shared a mic. I'm pretty sure I got it from him. And then, but it wouldn't go away. It was weird and annoying.
Wow.
Just coughing up things that look like brain matter.
Wow.
It was lame. So I went to a doctor, got some actual stuff.
That sucks, dude. But then you're fine now. You're still on the medicine, or is it
Yeah,
over?
I'm still on the medicine. But I can finally, be a person, do stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well...
But yeah, we have the design, and I'm going to go meet with the printers this week, hopefully, and then I feel like once I do that, it'll be less than a couple weeks away.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
So there you have it, guys.
Maybe we'll tweet the design soon so people can see it.
New shirt. I've seen the design, and it's fucking awesome. It is Radtown, USA. That's where it's from.
Yeah.
Origin of design, Radtown, USA. Destination, worldwide. That's where it's going.
One of the dumbest things you've ever said.
Yep. That used to be my location on my
Radtown.
on my Twitter. It's like city. It would just say it just said Rad, and then I changed it to Fucktown, USA.
I like when people do sent from iPhone jokes or put funny things in their locations on Instagram.
Yeah,
I appreciate that when it's like always Chili's or like always stuff like that. I'm a big fan. Always like Domino's Pizza in Glendale. That's good.
Yeah, it's a fun little one-off thing.
Yeah.
My signature on my email used to be sent from my iPhone while texting and driving.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. And then you just do it once and forget it's there.
Yep.
So Sunday night, I went to church.
You did.
I went to church.
You recharged your soul.
I recharged my spiritual batteries.
These are important things to do.
They really are.
Yeah.
And I realized that after the show ended in more ways than one. But for the layman, by the way, church means I went to see Tool live in concert.
Yeah.
I didn't go to Mass. I didn't go worship God. I went and worshiped the gods of music.
Right.
Progressive alt metal band Tool.
Yeah.
Everybody. If right now you're thinking, oh, that's the band that did that song Sober, and then that was it. No!
Okay.
They turned into geniuses after that. So if your musical knowledge of them stops, then no. It's like if you stop listening to Radiohead at Pablo Honey.
Yeah, that's true.
Or what was whatever the one after that?
Shit. Karma, please?
No. Well, no, Pablo Honey was the one with... shit, I'm forgetting my Radiohead. This is like sacrilege right now.
Yeah.
My mind's been on other shit.
Yeah. Why can't I think of any? I'm never... This is why I never...
The fucking Bends.
Yeah,
Jesus
Bends.
Christ. So that's... If you stop listening... I'm literally thinking of all the songs on it.
Yeah, Fake Plastic Trees.
Yeah. So that's like if you stop listening to Radiohead at the Bends, then you would never know OK Computer, they went to outer space.
Yeah.
Tool, same thing. After Undertow, they released Anima, and you're like, oh, these guys went to Jupiter and met with aliens, and then they were like, here's how to make music. So I went and saw them, and it was, like always, an amazing sonic, visual, fucking soul fucking.
Do they have good projection stuff in the background and shit?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I mean, their whole show.
Like they have lights, but is there like a screen behind them with stuff on it?
Yeah, there's multiple. There's the one directly behind them, two over on the side, and they have one like below the that runs the perimeter of the drum, the stage where the drummer's on. And there's just stuff going on. There's lasers and like it's a very visual. They make it about that and not like just light shining on the band members and watch them do shit.
Yeah. Because their songs are a kind of difficult to play that I imagine it doesn't lend itself to the musicians like running around and doing stuff.
Yeah,
yeah. Concentrate.
They don't really ever do that. They let the light show and the video kind of speak for and do that for them. So it's very like it's so well orchestrated and timed and. But they're great. They played some older stuff they haven't played in a while, and they reworked some of it, so it was like cool live versions of their songs. It was fucking awesome. That's my 14th time seeing them live.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
And word is that they're kind of halfway through or more work on their new album.
Right.
Now that all their legal issues and all that stuff is behind them, they're chugging away. So hopefully, I think before the end of the year, we'll have something. And then hopefully a world tour or something where they fucking play a Los Angeles date. Quit making me drive to other cities, which I will do, even if they choose not to play again.
Right.
But yeah, after the show, we got in the car, started heading back to L.A., and then I got a text that just said, from a friend, that just said David Bowie.
Yeah.
And then I responded, yeah, he's great.
The best.
Yeah, and because I'm in this venue, the only thing I'm doing is taking out my phone to take 2-3 pictures, put them on Instagram, put the phone away.
Yeah.
So, and then you don't really have service anyway because everyone's online. So I had no idea what that meant. And then I go, yeah, he's great. Send. She texts back, he just died.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, no.
I saw it on Twitter because his official Twitter tweeted something, and people thought it was a hoax for about, I'd say, an hour or two.
Yeah.
And then
what time was that?
It was probably 10:30.
Oh, so that was like a half hour before the show ended. Because when I saw that, I was like, when? Because she said he died earlier today or today. I was like,
he has an official Twitter that's not like him doing it. It's like the official fan Twitter.
Yeah.
It posts David Bowie news, and it said like he died quietly, and people thought it was a hoax for a little while because
someone hacked into the account.
Yeah, and there'd been no mention of him having cancer or anything.
Yeah, 18-month battle with cancer? I had no fucking clue.
It's pretty cool for a guy to not mention he had cancer. It's pretty fucking badass. But he, so I kept searching and searching and searching and searching. There was a lot of people like saying, is it a hoax or not? And then by the time I drove home, and I didn't look at my phone while I was driving, by the time I got home, it was on AP.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, dude, like, it's hard to even, it sounds like dumb. He's one of those guys that it sounds dumb to say, like, dude, he was the best. Like, I was talking to, I read this book recently called Punk Elegies, written by a guy named Alan McDonnell, and he was in L.A. at the beginning of punk in L.A. And I was talking to him about him, I was like, when it first started, what was it like? He goes, well, you got to realize that everyone at that time was just trying to be Bowie. That in 77, 78, it's that he gets called proto-punk,
right?
But just as far as that being cool and weird at the same time, Bowie's just the guy.
Yeah,
he just was like, the first time he ever got on TV, he was 17, and he like staged a fake kind of publicity stunt of about having trying to fight for the rights of men with long hair.
Right.
And he just he went on like British television and was like and was being very serious about how men with long hair get like verbally bullied in public.
Yeah.
And was like pretending to be like, no, this is a serious cause we need to fight. He was like 17.
It was like performance art.
This dude, Bowie gets it. He got it in a way that I don't know that anyone really did.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to think of someone who kind of did that before him. And then it's easy to think of a lot of people that did it after him as a direct result of him.
There's like, we all got how to be weird and glam and different and push the boundaries of things because Bowie did it. But who told Bowie? It's the thing. You're just like, who?
Aliens.
Yeah, like literally every time you're like, there's a reason this dude, it's like a joke that David Bowie's an alien. Because he's like, if anyone's a space alien,
it's David Bowie.
David Bowie. And if any other person is a space alien, it's his wife, Iman.
Right.
Like, you're like, oh, look, space. David Bowie's been from the future since the late 60s.
Right. I think what it is that, I think why it strikes a chord with people and like hits home is that like, he didn't like get it. I don't think he got that from anywhere. I think it was like this thing that like exists in people, the want or the desire to like express themselves in a way that's outside of the norm or kind of unusual.
Right.
But most of us go, yeah, that's too weird, or I'll get a lot of flack, or people will make fun of me, or they'll think things of me. They'll think I'm gay or weird or this or that. A multitude of things. So you end up just going like, I'll just wear these regular colors. I'll just wear pants that fit this way. I'll wear this shirt and this hat. But I think the only real difference, and not to take away from how unique or anything he was, but I think the only real difference is he had all those like thoughts and feelings that a lot of us do, and he just said, I'm going to do it and not care.
It's almost like he was so busy being it. He was too busy being it to think about what people would think of him being it.
Yeah. That filter or that like self-consciousness, that insecurity thing just wasn't there or wasn't strong enough to prevent him. So he just said, I'm going to wear a fucking skin-tight silk onesie dress, whatever the hell, and then like giant platform, knee-high heel boots.
Well, I mean, I know. I immediately, like, I was driving home and I was thinking about it. I was like, man, this, and I got home and I saw that he was dead. I was like, this sucks. So I did this little drawing.
Yeah.
And I posted this little drawing of, I did a lightning bolt with a little eye or whatever. And I started looking at Instagram. And the thing is now, if you look at Instagram the last 2 days, you see It's like 60% pictures of David Bowie right now. But I realized before that, I look at Instagram all the time, and I look at the Explore function all the time.
Yeah.
It's still, before he died, it was 10% David Bowie.
Yeah.
I mean, the people doing spins on the Ziggy Stardust lightning bolt face paint is, I can't tell you how prevalent it is in things I see, in skate design, in tattoo stuff, in just art in general. It's like him dying only upped his like presence visually by like 50%.
Yeah, it's still there. It's kind of everywhere. I mean, that's like he's a pop culture icon. In more ways than just music. In like, you know, I mean, a little bit in the acting world, but like music and style.
Yeah,
he just like permeates the country and the world, and in a lot of ways that you don't even really notice.
Yeah.
But when you sit there and go, let's trace back where that came from, it goes back to like this, you know, 60s, 70s when like people were just becoming freer spirits and going, I'm going to dress and act however the fuck I want.
Yeah.
I'll blur the gender lines. But he took it to another level.
The real, I mean, when you think about his mark when it comes to blurring the gender lines is fucking massive.
Yeah. So early on that you didn't even realize what he was doing until 20, 30 years later.
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason that, like, we're where we are now. He's one of the reasons. Like, he started it then.
Yeah.
When you look at comedy and go, why are we allowed to say and do what we want? It's because of, like, guys like Lenny Bruce. But they did it so long ago, the impact doesn't really settle in until later on.
Yeah.
You know? It takes like a nation or a culture a while to like absorb whatever change has happened.
Yeah.
You know, if it happens in 1963, it's not until 10, 15, 20 years later where everyone's comfortable doing it.
Yeah.
You know, Bowie starts dressing like that. Not everyone in a high school in suburban America is wearing that kind of shit and dyeing their hair orange.
No.
It's 10 or 15 years later when you're like, oh, there's like 10% of people doing this. I think I'll take a risk.
Yeah.
I'll put on some weird fishnet hand arm things.
Yeah.
You know?
No, but he's the guy who like was like, I'll take the shit. A lot of ways. And I think, and again, I'm not a music historian. I'm probably a little off base here.
Right.
But he, as far as like setting the tone for the constant recreation of like, this is my new persona.
Yeah.
And doing that repetitively. Of like, no, every album's going to be markedly, it's going to be noticeably different.
Yeah.
I'm going to change constantly.
It's a huge risk. It's a huge thing that like Neil Young did that.
Yeah.
Where he would just release an album and it would be a critical and, you know, financial success. And then he would go, I don't want to do that again. And people would say, are you insane?
Yeah.
That's all your success. All the money's gone. And that was secondary to guys like him and David Bowie. And they just were like, it's about the art and the expression and the creativity and moving forward.
Yeah.
And you got to think so many people around him were like, this guy's an idiot. This guy's insane.
I mean, he got in a lot of trouble when he kind of dressed like a fascist for a minute.
Yeah.
Got busted at customs with some Nazi memorabilia.
Yeah.
And he was just doing this stuff. The art came so first in the process of it. That the repercussions, he was kind of like, well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And and that to me is what's so fucking badass about the guy.
I know.
He's so incredibly badass.
Yeah.
I mean, I told you, there's this clip, someone tweeted a clip of, it's David Bowie and he's on MTV and it's 1983, which means MTV hasn't been on for very long at all.
It's been on for like 2 years.
Yeah. And he's basically, he's arguing with this VJ, I forget the guy's name. It was the guy, the kind of Italian-looking guy with big curly hair.
Oh yeah.
And David Bowie's going, no, I've been watching, and it's interesting what you guys are doing so far. I like it. Why are there so few black artists on your channel right now?
Yeah.
And it's not like
the
guy's like, well, I know for what we want to do, and he's like, no, but like there's very few, and I've noticed they're only on between 2 and 3 a.m. And then Bowie just like sits there and is like, why is that happening?
Yeah, waiting for an
like
answer.
he's considering investing or whatever, you know? And it's just like this dude had it so right. And you're just like, what? It's so interesting when people are like that. when someone, for some reason, they're just bizarre alchemy of, they're so far ahead of the game mentally.
Yeah.
Where everyone else is just kind of like, no, that's cool.
And it's just they'll say the things that you're not as like a star or celebrity kind of supposed to say.
Most celebrities would be worried that they're on TV and that the guy sitting across them is going to make them look bad. And Bowie's like, no, man, why is that? Seems sort of dumb and racist. You guys going to fix it?
Yeah.
And the VJ's like, well, I mean, marketing and markets and this thing. And you're like, what? What are you saying, dude?
Because most people would be in the chair going like, all right, now to like make myself look good. Now I have this like forum. I'm on MTV. I'm gonna like make myself look awesome. So I got to think of all the right things to say and do and dress and act and like just answer all the questions and smile. A guy like him is just like, oh, I noticed this injustice, so we're going to talk about that.
Yeah,
and it doesn't matter what the outcome is.
Yeah,
you know.
But it's also way braver for someone who's popular to do that. I noticed that there's people who get like political either when they have nothing to lose,
right,
or they're so far past it that they can't.
You can't hurt them.
You can't hurt them anymore. But like that, he hadn't been big for that long in comparison to how long he was going to be big.
Right.
He could certainly have pissed people off, and it was the early incarnation of MTV. They could have been like, let's not show David Bowie videos.
Yeah, we can't have that guy back on the
He
air.
understood his power enough to where he's like, well, if I'm going to use some of my record label budget to make music videos to provide content for your channel, I want to talk about some stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure he had a real sense of like music history and the people that matter. He's like, there's actually a lot of people of color doing interesting shit. Yeah. You seem to not be putting them on your network. Why is that?
Yeah.
It's a 24-hour channel. What's the problem?
That was like the end of his like soul phase too, like that Philly soul thing that he was doing, which made some great albums. But I think he was like deep into that, so he was probably extra aware.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, we're all the fucking black people who make real music.
I mean,
Who the fuck are they?
I was talking about this last night with Neil. It's like, I watched the Golden Globes, and like, you know, the presenting parts are lame and they're usually ham-fisted, but like Kevin Hart did a really good job, and he just like was really professional and energetic, and you're like, Kevin Hart had to be so good just to get normal famous.
Right.
That it's just proof that like there's certain people in show business where you're like, they're proof that Hollywood's still racist because they're so super good that you're like, yeah, Kevin Hart's so fucking funny, and he had to fill like stadiums for someone to be like, yeah, let's give him a normal comedy that will give some garbage white person.
Yeah, give 4 of those to a garbage white person.
Yeah, exactly. Like just a boring ass actor who's like okay or funny-ish.
Yeah,
but like Kevin Hart's straight up funny 100% of the time.
Yeah,
but like but like perfect, like no mistakes really. Like some movies maybe he didn't love, but he's like keeps it like tight.
Yeah, he delivers.
Yeah. But they'll let Will Ferrell do a movie in Spanish. Not that Will Ferrell's not hilarious, but they let him do a movie in Spanish.
Right.
That made $11. I saw it in the theater. It was horrific.
So you're the guy who paid.
Yeah. I was like, 11. This is weird. And I was like, God, and I left mad. I was like, God damn it.
Right.
Yeah.
A David Bowie quote, I don't know where I'm going from here, but I promise it won't be boring.
He's fucking this guy, dude.
Yeah, who can say that and then follow through?
Bowie could get away with so much weird shit.
I know.
Also, dude was kind of hilarious.
Yeah, he was funny.
He was really funny on Extras.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Zoolander.
Yeah.
I mean, his first big hit was, you know, Space Oddity.
Right.
Ground Control to Major Tom. Which that's like spacey and weird and like you're like, dude, what are you?
He had a real obsession with the outer space.
Yeah. Then, I mean, I think the Man Who Sold the World.
Right.
Fucking epic song.
I first discovered that song watching Nirvana's Unplugged.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck Nirvana song is this? This is amazing. And they were like, oh, that's a David. And you didn't even find that out like that week or that month because there was no Googling. You just someone had to know about it. And then they told you. Like, oh, my older brother listened to Bowie and he said that was a Bowie. Oh, cool. And then, you know.
The problem with like our age group and anyone younger is we heard a lot of this shit out of order.
Yeah, you hear a lot of you hear Changes a lot, or Young Americans on the radio. So you get tired of a lot of Bowie songs or
China Girl.
Yeah, Beatles and all these different artists that they just hammer you with their big hits.
Yeah.
So when you hear certain songs, you're just oh, this again. But then when you get into the albums and listen to the albums, you're like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
There's some real shit. That's why they're playing this single, because this guy just made amazing music beginning and Rebel Rebel is a good song.
Ugh.
You hear it a lot and it doesn't really do much for you, but that entire album that it's on, Diamond Dogs, is so great.
I fucking love when David Bowie makes a stripped down rock song.
Yeah.
It is a goddamn banger.
Yeah.
I mean, Rebel Rebel is so good.
I know.
But yeah, I think I probably first heard Changes. Or the Christmas song with Bing Crosby? Little Drummer Boy?
Oh, I know. I probably heard it.
Oh, dude. It's fucking beautiful.
Oh, I'll
and,
bet. Yeah.
And
Bowie and
it makes
David
Bing Crosby look punk as shit.
Right, yeah.
You're like, first of all, whose idea was it? I'm thinking it's David Bowie's.
Right.
And then they sing Little Drummer Boy. It's beautiful. And you're like, Bing Crosby's kind of cool as shit right now, singing with David Bowie.
But yeah, songs like Changes and the big ones.
Dancing in the Street with Mick Jagger, I probably saw that on MTV 10 million times.
Right. When he did Under Pressure, that was great. With Freddie Mercury.
Fuck.
That was pretty awesome. The first few times I heard that on the radio, I was just like, where has this song been my entire life? Why am I just now...
And that's what I like. He's a guy that you get the sense that he wanted to just be in a band, but he kind of
did. He toured with Iggy.
Yeah,
and he anonymously played the drums. I think it was. And just went on tour.
Iggy toured with him too and played piano.
It's fucking crazy. He's just I'm just gonna do cool shit with cool artists.
Yeah, they said there was. I was watching. Maybe it was behind the music, and Iggy's like, "Yeah, we decided we both needed to kick heroin." So I went on tour with them. We were trying to kick heroin, but we went to Berlin, the heroin capital of the world.
Right.
He's like, and then I quit the tour because we had some fight. I don't like your pants. And he was like, I don't like your hair. And we broke up.
That's where he got sober, though.
Yeah, they managed to do it.
In Berlin. And then he made all those weird fucking techno-ish records with Eno.
Yeah, but he got the sense that he wanted to be... in a band. I mean, he's talking about it in Ziggy Stardust that he got too big for the band, and he's standing out that he seemed to be a guy that wanted to be around musicians and that kind of collaborative. What should we do? Let's make it weird. Let's push it kind of thing. But he was so David Bowie that people were like, no, you're the best. You have to be this massive star. And I think maybe that's why he changed so much, so he could okay, what can I be that's different now? And then that'll give me an excuse to form Tin Machine or whatever. And then I can be surrounded. I could do this new thing and work with this different person and whatever. That he seemed to be a guy that was just obsessed with music, obsessed.
He just cared about the making of it, and he wanted to it's so hard to find bands that continuously push the envelope and reinvent themselves without a care of it ruining their career or their perceived image.
Yeah.
Normally you get a band that is derivative, a lot of bands are when they start, that you can really hear and see their influences, and then they figure out something that clicks. Yeah. And then they just kind of copy that album that they got them big 2 or 3 times until they fade into obscurity, and then you sort of forget about it. But the bands that stick around are the ones that keep changing. And during that change, you get annoyed, or they lose some fans, or you go, what the fuck are they doing?
Yeah.
But, the artist's life is, long. The career is long if you're in it for that. So, when you step back and look at the trajectory and what they're doing, you go, oh, I see. When you're kind of tunnel vision on it, when you're looking song per song or album per album, you don't really get what's going on, and you're kind of annoyed and you can't stick with it because it's familiar and you liked it, so you kind of want more of the same. But
yeah,
if you kind of let them do their thing and just kind of try and follow where they're going, and if they're good, if they're very talented, you're a Bowie or a Prince or Neil Young or whatever, they'll take you there. You just got to trust that they'll do it.
But Bowie's one of the dudes that invented that as a thing.
Yeah.
It was a lot of artists just were like, nope, here's the other song that sounds like the other song that you liked.
Yeah.
Because, I think it's so hard to get big as a musician. You kind of understand why they're like, look, we need a hit.
Yeah.
And he, like, as I was reading through a lot of these, his discography and stuff, it'd be like, this one peaked at number 5 in the UK. It's like he wasn't making number 1 hits, like, all the time.
Yeah,
stuff was sort of weird.
It was. And that's, people later on look back and go, oh, these were conceptual albums that now stand the test of time and are awesome. And then you see what their influence did. You've gotten used to that kind of music.
Yeah.
You see what it's done, and then you look back and go, oh, I get it now. Because then you're just like, this is new and weird. Like when punk first came out, like all this noise rock, you were just like, this is noise.
Yeah.
And then it kind of starts to make sense later on. To some people, the music savvy people, they kind of get it right away. They go, oh, this is the next thing. This is new.
Yeah.
I'm on the ground floor. I know what's going on. But your average person at first is like, I don't get it. In the same way, like, stylish stuff like kind of starts in certain areas of the country, and you see people wearing it, and they go, what the fuck, why is that guy wearing boots like that or jackets like that?
Yeah.
And then 3 years later, they're at an Urban Outfitters, and everyone has it on.
Yeah.
And they go, no, yeah, it's cool, bro. You're like, 3 years ago, you were fucking calling that guy queer, you know?
No, like the elastic band pants with the elastic on the bottom. Like now, like 3 years ago, they just looked like dumb,
the fitted,
super dumb Kanye pants. But now I see them on
everybody.
Everybody,
yeah.
To where I was like, I'm too old to get that. But in my head, I'm like, do I need to get those pants?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will get him as fitted sweats.
Yeah.
But I won't get him as like fitted jeans or anything like that. I just think that looks silly.
Bowie put out 27 studio records.
I know.
But like,
it's a lot.
It's interesting when someone's been around that long. In your head, you're like, there's probably like 10 albums, 15 albums. Like, nope. There's like tons and tons and tons of material.
Yeah, he was putting albums out too for a while, like one a year.
Yeah.
But back then, though, like you're putting albums out on the LP format, so they're not like it was in like the late 80s into the 90s where albums were like 78 minutes long or whatever.
Yeah.
Like they're under an hour.
Yeah.
They're, which is not to take away from, anything really, but because a lot of like they're old, when you listen to like old comedy albums, like there were comics that put albums out like once a year or whatever, or sometimes more or whatever. And you're like, how the fuck? But they were like 40 minutes long or something, like 37, 43. So, but for them to be really good is another thing, because there are a lot of bands and artists that put out album after album. You have certain bands you barely heard of. They have like 9 studio albums, which is not that common.
Yeah.
Like for studio albums to be put, like the label had to go, we want you to put out a 9th album, and it's like no one really knew, but yeah, 26 is a lot, and to stay like respected and relevant all the way through that. There were like obviously downs and ups and stuff, but look at the way it is now. The guy's dead, and no one is anything but like
I can't think of anyone ever making fun of David Bowie.
Yeah, he was never like a cultural joke at any point.
No,
because he never he got out of the drug thing early on before it became like, yikes. Like he rode through that, and it was a little weird, but he was already weird, so you never knew what. You're like, is he high? Is it that? But he cleaned up and got his shit together and just kept going. And then for someone that took that many risks, he really did a good job of like managing it, and never got away from him.
Yeah.
Because people were just almost like, what is going to happen next?
Yeah.
And then whatever it was interesting and good and like thoughtful. It wasn't like what, your Lady Gagas and people like that are doing, which is just generally like a copy of a copy of a copy.
Right.
And they don't really have it doesn't seem like a lot of control over it. It's like a manufactured thing, but it doesn't really come from like within.
No.
So they're not taking it in a direction. They're sitting there in meeting rooms going like, where are we going? Yeah. Without any real, like vision for the future. Because like a guy like him, it just was like, really came from like within. I need to express myself in this way, not like let's crunch the numbers.
Yeah, you kind of feel like he was the one being like, I want to make an album with this guy, or I'm going to go find, it's going to be like this. It came from his own personal interest, which is why it seems so, some of it seems so weird. Because it didn't seem like marketing based at all.
He got a lot of shit for that, though, career-wise. Like, people would, like, critics and stuff would say he's just, like, jumping on trends and styles and then reinventing himself in that way. And, like, I mean, I wouldn't argue too much against that, but, like, he still did it so well.
Yeah, and I don't mind someone great's spin on something.
Right. Like Madonna reinvented herself, and she got shit for that, too. She's like, well, now she's an 80s person. Now she's this. But she's so talented and so good. It's part of the evolution. You know, if you're going to grow and you're like, and you're an artist of whatever kind, and you're speaking about your personal life or a reflection of what's going on in society, you're obviously going to change with the society. Like, you can't look like you're from the 60s in 1987. Then the criticism is they're out of date.
Yeah.
So, like, and that's the problem with critics, is that they're always finding something wrong.
That's their job.
Exactly, yeah. So they say that kind of stuff about Bowie and Madonna and whoever else, but it's like, well, what's the alternative?
Yeah.
Don't ever change? Then you're going to criticize how they don't ever change.
One of my favorite David Bowie songs is probably is one of those times where he heard music going in a direction. He was like, I like this. I want to make a song like this, so I'm going to call Trent Reznor. I'm going to make I'm Afraid of Americans.
Yeah.
And that sounds like a Nine Inch Nails song, like a poppier Nine Inch Nails song with David Bowie, and I fucking love that song.
Yeah, it's cool. It
was
for a
good.
movie.
I don't know.
It was for a movie.
Okay.
Yeah, they did it for, well, let me Google it.
That song's good as shit, dude.
I remember the
funny,
video.
It's fucking good, and you're like, he was probably like, oh, you know what? This Nine Inch Nails thing's kind of interesting. It's industrial. It reminds me of what I was doing in the 70s, but it's harder. I'm going to call him. And, you know, Reznor's at his home, like, David Bowie's on the phone. And you're like, hey, David Bowie. Like, it's fucking cool.
It was originally appeared as a rough mix on the soundtrack to Showgirls.
Shut up.
Out of all things, yeah.
Well, something good came out of that film.
I know.
Man, that fucking movie, that song is so good.
Yeah, I remember the video. I was just like, what is happening?
He had
right
like
now?
lots of black eye makeup on. He had a shiny black jacket.
Yeah.
It was good.
And you know what he was wearing? A fucking turtleneck.
Yeah.
Yeah. David Bowie ahead of the curve.
David Bowie stayed wearing a turtleneck.
I'll get a fucking turtleneck right now.
He could, I mean, if you want to talk dudes who could wear whatever they wanted, he is that dude.
He could wear like a double. You know those mock turtlenecks that are kind of half? He could have gone double, and it's like that thing's covering half his mouth.
I see David Bowie walk down the street in a Von Dutch t-shirt. I buy a Von Dutch t-shirt.
I'd buy company stocks in the company.
You know, you actually could. Was it? You could buy stock in David Bowie.
What?
It was either him or Sting. Look it up. At one point, you could buy David Bowie futures.
David
Bowie stock.
Bowie stock?
It was him or Sting, dude. I remember this. I don't think it worked.
He launched the first bond back by a back catalog.
Yeah,
you bought Bowie bond. Oh, so you bought stock in his catalog,
in the future profits of his back catalog.
I thought it was like in him as a human. I'm like,
kind of is. It kind of is, because if he would have gotten super lame, he would have, like, you know, his back catalog.
That in 97.
Yeah.
He raised $55 million by promising investors income generated by his back catalog of 25 albums. Sold his rights to future royalties for music recorded before 1990 to a group of investors who then issued a 10-year bond. The man behind the Bowie bond was banker David Pullman, who claimed it was the first time a musician had sold intellectual property rights via a bond. And then he created similar deals for James Brown, Ashford and Simpson, and Marvin Gaye. The concept even spawned a novel.
I would be curious to see what that bond ended up being worth.
While the arrangement may have been lucrative for Bowie, it does not appear to have paid off for investors. It was literally the next sentence right when you said that. Yes.
Which I'm sure he knew. Some guy was like, you want $50 million for your back catalog? And he was like, yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what did it? It was the online music thing.
Oh, yeah, that makes total sense.
If that hadn't happened, the investors would have made money.
You know what's interesting is in 1996, David Bowie released a record on the internet. So he obviously saw the online music thing coming and was like, you know what I should probably do? Get a lot of money for the shit I'm not going to be able to get a lot of money for later.
There is the quote I was trying to look for. I read it, I think, yesterday. It's like 2 paragraphs, but it's very like that. I mean, the foresight. He goes, this was 2001 or 2 or something like that. I don't even know why I would want to be on a label in a few years because I don't think it's going to work by labels and by distribution systems in the same way. The absolute transformation of everything that we ever thought about music will take place within 10 years, and nothing is going to be able to stop it. I see no point in pretending that it's not going to happen. I'm fully confident that copyright, for instance, will no longer exist in 10 years, and authorship and intellectual property is in for such a bashing. Music itself is going to become like running water or electricity. So it's like just take advantage of these last few years because none of this is ever going to happen again. You'd better be prepared for doing a lot of touring because that's exactly the only unique situation that's going to be left. It's terribly exciting, but on the other hand, it doesn't matter if you think it's exciting or not. It's what's going to happen. And that's literally what's happening.
Yeah.
The copyright thing, not yet, but I mean, music will be like running water, electricity, and you better start touring because that's how you're going to make money.
He's right about the copyright thing because it's not going to get it has gotten a beating because having the copyright to your own publishing because of Spotify is close to worthless.
No, he said, I'm fully confident that copyright will no longer exist in 10 years.
Oh. Yeah, I mean...
intellectual property is in for such a bashing, and it is. That part is true because it's like you're not fucking making shit off shit anymore. But and then next paragraph, you better start touring because that's the only thing that's going to do it. And that is exactly the state of the music industry right now. Mm-hmm. But like guys like him, fucking early on, were like, this is where it's headed, and you'd be stupid to deny it. You just go with it. You cannot stop the change that's coming.
Yeah.
And it's a little easier for guys like him to say it who are sitting on a mountain of money and they've already made all their... But, I mean, those guys were right.
Yeah. Bowie was right, man.
Yeah. One of my favorite things he did later on, and I tweeted a link to it, was like he was into... And a lot of older artists don't do this. They're like, oh, I get all my music info from my kids or whoever. Like, they don't know a lot of what's going on with the younger generation because they're just listening to world music or weird shit or, like, nothing. I'm serious. A lot of older artists listen to, like, weird... They go, I'm really into, like, experimental Latin jazz from Chile. You know, like, they listen to that stuff because, like, they've listened to so much music and a lot of them are real musicians, so that's what's interesting, you know? So they're not listening to, like, the fucking radio or, like, you know, what, like, current pop rock acts are doing, you know? But he would be like, he was an early proponent of the Arcade Fire. Mm-hmm. He was just like, these guys are great. They're going to be big. And like that, and he did it with TV on the radio. Like press from David Bowie. If David Bowie comes out and goes, I'm a really big fan of this band. I think they're great. Rolling Stone and Pitchfork, and all these guys are like, okay, let's figure out what they're about. Let's see how good they are. And then he would like go on tour with them and shit. Like the link I tweeted was him singing "Wake Up" with the Arcade Fire on stage. Like a guy in his 50s or 60s, like he doesn't need to be doing that.
Also, like being in Arcade Fire and just being like, did you guys remember when David Bowie came on tour with us?
Yeah. Remember when he was like, can I sing a song with you in concert? Like
that shit's crazy, man.
That for any band. If your band ended the next week, you'd be like, yeah, I'm good with that.
I'm good.
David Bowie endorsed us and then sang with us.
And it's not like he doesn't know what he's doing.
Right.
He knows. He knows what he is. He knows he's David fucking Bowie. He created himself. His real name wasn't David Bowie.
Yeah.
He gets it. He's like, I'm going to go on tour with these guys. It's going to blow their minds. I'm going to have fun. Right. It's good for everyone.
Yeah. If you want to hear he was he loved TV on the radio. So on their album Return to Cookie Mountain, which is one of their best, he sang on the song Province. So if you're into TV on the radio and you didn't know that, go back and listen to the song Province. It's one of their best songs. But he's singing like background vocals on it.
It's so fucking cool.
It's a great song too, but he's fucking on it.
Motherfucker.
He just one day was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna help this band and just like sing some shit."
I feel so bad for Iman right now.
Oh, I know.
And his kids. It's like getting to know David Bowie on a personal level.
Yeah.
Twitter shut down. Twitter became 100% David Bowie, and also to the point where. Every time someone very beloved dies, people start tweeting about it.
Right.
And then based out of the 400 people I follow, there's routinely 3 or 4 comics who begin to make fun of the group grieving.
Right, yeah.
And what I liked this time is it was so overwhelmed by people being like, David Bowie's the shit, it just stopped. People making jokes about like, oh, I guess I better say something about David Bowie. It's like, they went away. Yeah. It was like, no, man, yeah, you're right. We're all doing a thing together. There's a reason.
Right.
Because this guy was the best. Yeah, and don't be, and like, oh, are you saying he wasn't the best? Or you're like, oh, everyone's doing it. Yeah. So what?
Yeah, sometimes that's what is necessary because someone is so universally beloved.
Yeah, and the fact that many people are having a common reaction to one person and what they did because they did it in a way that was kind of right is fantastic.
And one of the big trends I saw with the the outpouring of like grief and love and support and all that was how many people specifically said they loved him and are sad because he touched them in a way that was not common back then in like the 70s, 80s, and probably even the 90s, where he made it okay for them to be outcasts or weird. He made it like he basically told them it's okay to be different. It's okay to like look and act different, or be seen as what is now considered different if you were like gay or bi or transgender, or just had like a very effeminate way of looking, dressing, or acting. He, without even saying it, he just was doing it. So you were like, well, if he can do it, then it's fine. And that got a lot of kids. Like I appealed, like those artists appealed to me, like guys like him and like Marilyn Manson and people that were in Madonna and Michael Jackson. Like there was something, and I didn't know it when I was a kid, but there was something about, I'm saying with Madonna and Michael Jackson because I was like 8, 10, 11. I was just like, there's something so interesting about what they're doing. And I connected to it because it was just different.
I think with people like them, Madonna, Michael Jackson, David Bowie, Prince, they're all so concerned with something being interesting and artistic that it doesn't matter to them where it comes from. Doesn't matter. There aren't lines in the same way. There aren't gender lines in the same way. If something's interesting or they find it beautiful or compelling, the source is, it doesn't, who gives a shit? They're just like, what is that? I want to do that, or I want to make that, or I want it to look like that. And where it comes from, they don't have those like preconceived hang-ups or like, well, if I borrow from this, people will think I'm this. They're like, no, but that's great. Who cares?
Right.
But imagine, I mean, you and I are too young, but imagine being 15 or 16 when Ziggy Stardust comes out.
Yeah.
And you're a kid who feels different or feels weird or and doesn't fit in, and you're like, oh, fuck. By the time you and I were teenagers, the people that were inspired by David Bowie were doing that. So, like, you know, if you like Marilyn Manson, hugely inspired by David Bowie.
Oh, for sure.
And
a lot of other guys that like Alice Cooper and and people like that who
tons
are
of people
also,
like that.
Yeah.
But everyone at a young age has that. If you are a person that wants to maybe try to be different or unique, or you feel different, there's a person that you see first or that you meet, and you're like, well, you do it. I think you're cool. You have tattoos. You dress different. Right. You have this hairstyle. You dyed your hair. Whatever it is. And he was that guy on a fucking world level. And one of the first. I'm sure there's someone before him that I don't know of that maybe wasn't as big that he saw, and that, you know, he was like, you're crazy and you're doing awesome shit. I'm going to like be inspired by you. But he was the one who was huge and did it on a huge level, and it was just a fucking massive calling card for anyone in the world to be like, you want to be weird? Be weird as shit.
Yeah.
It's totally cool, and it will work. Be yourself. Go be weird as hell.
Yeah, and it'll work only in the sense that, like, in a microcosm, it'll work because you will just be able to exist as you want.
Yeah.
Right? It's not even it'll work because you can be famous for doing these weird expressive things, but you can just, like, instead of having the desire to, like, dress a certain way because it just fucking feels good to do.
Yeah.
You can just now do it and then feel that sense of like, oh, I feel comfortable because this is what I want to wear, or this is how I want to have my hair, or this is the way I want to talk and the shit I want to listen to and tell people that I like. You can just fucking do it and then live your life as opposed to like keeping all that shit bottled up.
Yeah.
And then that in and of itself is like, that's a personal victory.
Yeah.
And growing up, you know, we grew up in the suburbs, right? So there was not a lot of people like acting out in that way, right? You had maybe 2, 3, or 4 or something like that per grade or some shit. So it was never like something you could just like walk outside and I'm fucking weird now, you know? But you turn on MTV or whatever else back then and you see a guy or look at an album cover in a record store and you go, oh, well, I mean, that guy's doing it. And then you listen to their music and you're like, he's saying cool shit. He's doing it in a cool way. A lot of people are starting to like this.
Yeah.
I'm going to fucking kind of take on some of that. I'm going to like dye my hair now. I'm going to dress a little weird and then go, dude, how fucking cool is David Bowie? That's why I'm dressed like, fuck yeah, he is cool. I'm going to start I'm going to dye my hair every 4 days now.
And it's tiny things like that where like, you know, people that have very quote unquote normal lives, it's like you walk by their cubicle and you notice like, she's got like sweet lightning bolt earrings or like a little David Bowie thing on her desk. And you're like April, our friend April Richardson told me that the way she became friends with Dave Grohl is because when she worked at Chelsea, her desk was fucking insane,
like
obviously.
A shrine to music.
Yeah, it was just the kind of stuff in it, little posters and things in it were, you know, very obscure and like Dave Grohl like cruised past her desk and was like, whoa. Whoa.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the kind of shit he was like, oh, you're into some serious shit over here. She was like, oh, yeah. Like, you know, we know classic April, but I was like, yeah, word, I'm definitely into dope shit.
You know it.
Yeah, like,
dude, let's like be friends.
Yeah, here's a VHS tape. You know, like, but it's those tiny little calling cards that and you and I both know this is it's done under the guise of like I'm unique, but it's basically a way to find other people that are quote unquote unique in the exact same way. You're like, yo, I love the same shit as you. There's just less of us. Right. Let's hang out.
Right.
But it's that thing. It's that those little things where you find out someone's like, this is so dumb, but you find out like Ann Coulter loves the Grateful Dead. Right. And you're like, huh.
Yeah. Interesting.
Okay. Like, you're super into that. She's like, I'm super into the Dead. You're like, okay. That's weird as hell. But if you cruised by, like, Ann Coulter's desk or whatever, and you saw, like, one of those bears, you're like, is that a Grateful Dead bear?
Yeah.
It's those little things that tell you.
And you're like, oh, you're a human.
Yeah.
Okay.
It tells you more about a person than just their job or their car or the outfit they wear at work. Where you're like, oh, no, on weekends I dress up. I do the Rocky Horror Picture thing. You're like, really? Like, yeah, I do the Susan Sarandon character. You're like, oh, fuck, cool.
He once said about style is about the choices you make to create the aspects of civilization that you wish to uphold.
God damn it, David Bowie.
Yeah.
God damn it, David Bowie.
That's a thoughtful quote about why you would dress and act.
You're like, I care about efficiency. I care about design. I care about this. Yeah. Fucking.
And the aspects of civilization that he wished to uphold were apparently the unique individual should be. I mean, if you just like, that's just me looking at him and his style. I go, I think what you were trying to uphold was be yourself, create what you want, do what you want, be who you are, and that's your focus through life.
And also, don't be afraid to be inspired by things that aren't you. Make a soul record. Because that says, like, hey, just so you know, there are people over here who aren't like you who are making really good shit. Right. Really interesting shit that you should know about. And I'm inspired by that. It's like, you know, everyone kind of will clown the Paul Simon African records, but they're good. And I didn't know about that music till I heard that shit. And if I was like blown away by it, I'd be like, who are these guys? You're like, oh, he performed with this orchestra. So you look up that orchestra. You're like, oh, they're from this area. They were on this label. This label made that. It's like liking – everyone likes Bob Marley, but you like Bob Marley and the Wailers. You look up Tough Gong or whatever, the label, and you're like, who else was on this label? Yeah. And then you're like, oh, it's all that stuff is just – they're little doorways into other kind of shit. It's like, okay, I like glam rock because I like David Bowie. Well, who else makes glam rock? Oh, shit, T-Rex is pretty good. Right. So that's how you learn about all that stuff. And there's no way he didn't know he was doing that shit. And that's what's so goddamn cool. His hair, David Bowie never had a bad hair day.
I know.
His
he had a lot of
life.
interesting ones.
In his life.
A lot of interesting hair days.
This is a rough one, man.
It really, it's funny because when I found out about it was after I left a live concert, right?
I found myself wondering if they announced it at your concert.
No one. I mean, if it happened at 10:30, that concert got out at 11.
Right.
And I'm telling you, no. I mean, there might have been 5 people fucking sitting there scrolling through their Twitter or something during there was an intermission or during and maybe they saw it, but I doubt anyone started announcing it to anybody. And there's no way, not a band like that's going to stop the show and make the announcement.
Tool fans aren't phone lookers during a show.
Yeah, not really. They're more. They're fucking let's get into this.
Yeah.
And I mean, I didn't really even have good service. I posted 2 or 3 pictures, but each one took 30 minutes to upload. But I mean, I just put my phone away, and then at the end of a song, go, "Oh, I wonder if that picture went up, failed."
Yeah,
re-upload again. So there's not a lot of people who had the chance even to sit there and just bullshit on their phone and stuff. But I was thinking too today. I was like, if I did find out during the show, would I have turned to my friend and be like, "Dude, guess what happened?" I would have been like, "Probably not."
Yeah,
I would have waited until it ended, or if I went "Oh my God," and he was like, "What's wrong?" "No, nothing." "No, seriously, what's wrong?" "You just said, oh fuck."
You ruin a show.
Yeah, then I would have been like, "All right, well, do you really want to know?" "All right, David Bowie,
Yeah.
But
I mean, honestly, I don't think he's dead.
Right, yeah.
Well, we're talking about him like he's not dead. We could have done this episode any other. You could do a David Bowie episode any time.
Right.
We would have had no problem doing the episode, and it would sound basically the same.
Right. And the sentimental thing too is that he is and he isn't dead, because
he's the least dead person I think in the world.
Yeah, I mean, really, his physical body is dead, right?
Yes.
He's dead, but the guy left such a fucking undeniable, long-lasting mark on pop culture worldwide.
Yeah,
that he's kind of not dead.
That's why I feel so bad for his family, because he's really dead to them.
Well, I mean, yeah,
but to us,
sure,
there's so much David Bowie out there that I probably even have yet to discover and stuff.
Yeah,
that he's kind of not dead to to his fans, but it fucking sucks.
Yeah.
I can't even. It just sounds so dumb when you talk about. You just keep saying he's David Bowie, you just keep saying his name.
Yeah,
because the dude, I just don't. He's one of the heaviest dudes ever. It's incredible, and it's so interesting. You look at him. A lot of his the songs where his visual style is so kind of interesting and gender neutral. He's playing stripped down regular rock songs.
Yeah,
but they're this was groundbreaking, and that guy played. He knew how to make a very normal, great song. He knew how to make a weird song. It's just fucking.
I mean, he
crazy.
went from just kind of toned down mod rock to hard rock, and then we're oh, this is interesting. And it was conceptual and weird, and then you're yeah, and then he goes, well, now I'm doing soul music, and you're oh, I mean, fuck, that worked too. I guess you're
when he dressed
that's
preppy
your thing now. He's well, actually not anymore, because now I'm doing dance stuff. And you're
there's this drawing I did a long time ago. It used to be in my house, but it was of a guy with holding up high water pants. It's 100% a drawing of David Bowie.
Right, yeah.
I just cut the head off, and I didn't put suspenders on it because I didn't want anyone to know. It's 100% a drawing of David Bowie.
Yeah.
When he was doing when he was doing that thing, the super waspy thing, which I think he kind of hated. Is behind the music on that tour, which I forget what was the huge Changes might have been the huge hit from that tour.
Yeah.
But one of his friends was "What are you doing?" And he just went, "I don't even know."
I have no idea. Yeah.
There's a quote in here where one of his albums, Station to Station, I think it's Station to Station, where he apparently was doing so much drugs. He says, "I don't remember making that record. I remember it was in L.A. because I read it was in L.A. I made it." Yeah. He was on so much coke.
I mean, that was the 70s, and there was a lot of that then. I mean, Neil Young, I think, had a couple of those where he was just I was really fucked up and sick. I didn't even. He in a fever dream sort of state wrote Down by the River.
Yeah.
Barely remembers.
One of Oasis records, they said that he goes, yeah, this one record, we were so coked up, it's terrible, but we still sold 6 million copies.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
It's fucking. I mean, they don't make them like that anymore, man.
It's hard to see mean, maybe this is just like us as old dudes being like.
That's the thing, though. We're not old.
I know,
like,
but
this is what old people say.
But maybe the way music is right now is so open that maybe it's a really good situation to make someone like that, because you can do so many different things. It's so much easier to make music. But I was thinking about that too, is because he didn't come up in a time when it was really easy to make music digitally and there wasn't Pro Tools and things like that. Synthesizers exist, but they wouldn't. He still had to learn how to make good songs. And he still had to. I think that mechanism of musicians having to learn how to make music on musical instruments tied you to music history more. Because the way you learn is you play old music.
Yeah, I mean, he was an actual musician. Like, from when he was a kid, he learned instruments and knew how to play them. But yeah, you had to more than just like learning about like the history or whatever, you used real musicians. So if you were like going to have a backing band, it was going to be people from all walks of life. You had, white people from Detroit, black people from Philadelphia, so-and-so from whatever other parts of the country who were trained and knew the history. So you brought all those people into one room. Like, you couldn't just pull shit up on a computer or hit buttons on a board. Or a rig. Yeah. You had to bring in, if you're like, oh, I want a chorus on, Young Americans or whatever, you had to bring 5 or 6 people in to the studio.
Yeah.
And then you had to have all your instrumentalists all in there, all in one room for however many, days or weeks it took to record these things. Yeah. So, like, you were tethered to.
And those people created influences, and they had a say, and they changed what was happening. And now, because it's all, you can do it so by yourself.
Yeah, you could just sit in a fucking 1-bedroom apartment and just go, I'm making an album.
Yeah. And I wonder if that, I think you get 2 things from that. You can be the most creative person possible because you have access to literally everything.
Right.
But it also can lead to, I don't know, just like super simple homogenized garbage. It's the kind of thing where, like, I would love to see someone like Gary Clark Jr. get hyper weird. Yeah. Because he's so well versed in traditional music making, traditional rock music making, and blues and things like that. It's like if you were like, here's a computer, Gary, you can only use this. It's like, dude, I'd be willing to listen to what that was like.
I mean, I don't even know if he'd know what to do with it.
That's what's so interesting. It's like that. I mean, that's why Bowie was working with someone like Brian Eno. It's like, you're doing weird shit over there. What's with these machines?
Right.
Like, it was that kind of like newness that led to, I think, some of the stuff he did.
Right.
And I mean, you'd hope that there are people that hopefully are smart enough and interested enough in music to learn both things.
I mean, I think that's had a really positive effect on like EDM, because that's taken it in so many different directions, because you're sitting there on a computer like putting sounds together.
And you need so many sounds. It has to be nonstop. Yeah.
But for instrument driven like music, like groups and bands and stuff, like, I don't know what if it's going to create more artists like this, or
I wonder, because I mean, now we see there's like, music is it's broken up in all these little areas, but you see like neo soul, the Alabama Shakes, or
St. Paul and the Broken Bones.
Yeah, St. Paul and the Broken Bones. So it's like, well, what's the generation of kids who like that and want to be in a band, but don't necessarily want to sound like those people because they want to stand out? Well, what are they going to do? Are they going to combine that with something else? Right. Well, to do that, they got to learn how to play for real, and then what do they combine it with? So hopefully, it's those mixes that turn into stuff.
That's the thing that's like taking away from all that originality, is that everything is so subdivided that people are like, we're gonna bring back soul, we're gonna bring back blues, or we're gonna bring back the 80s or 90s or whatever, and then you just get people that are just copying something else for the most part. Now, it can be really well done. Like St. Paul and the Broken Bones and Alabama Shakes are really talented people, and they make good music, but I mean, are we going to look back at Alabama Shakes in the same way we look back on like David Bowie and Prince and Neil Young and all these other artists? I don't think so.
I think the Alabama Shakes second record is it's very different from the first record, but you want to see them be like, okay, you guys are really good. Fucking break out.
Yeah, do something where you're like, oh, whoa.
Yeah,
like, what
do a
is
record
this?
people hate. Do something super weird.
Have
you
a
have
really
the talent.
stark divide. Be like, this is a fucking love-hate thing now.
And because most money comes from touring, I'd go see if the Alabama Shakes released a record now that I hated, I'd still go see them because there's going to be 2 albums worth of songs that I really like.
Yeah.
And they do big shows. Like, they're not an easy band to get tickets because people know they're really good live.
You know who's starting to do that kind of thing right now? And only time will tell where it goes, is Tame Impala.
Okay, I don't know who that is.
So he mostly, it's one guy, but he plays with a band, but he's one of those dudes that like, I write all the music, right. And then we play it live. So they're kind of like a psychedelic rock outfit, right?
Uh-huh.
So, and they're really good. So they had an album that kind of started getting them attention called Inner Speaker, and then they put an album 2 years ago called Lonerism, and it is fucking on the money, dude. It's like really cool 70s-ish, like psychedelic rock. It's fucking great. There's so many good songs. Wall-to-wall great album. Then he puts out an album this year, or in 2015, called Currents. And the buzz was already out. Like, it's a departure from what they're doing. He just went in a totally different direction. It's like more electronica, but still rock. The opening track's like 8 minutes long.
Yes.
And you're like, what? So a part of you you're like, but Lonerism was so good, and this is what you're doing, and I want like more of that. But then you're like, just have a little faith in this guy. Like, he's good, he's talented, he's taking a risk. Maybe it'll fucking pay off. And if it doesn't, maybe they'll go back and do what they were doing and have learned from this departure and add a little bit of that to the next one. Careers are long. Artists take risks. They try. It's not just one album for one album.
Yeah.
Let the dude do his thing. So he's very good. He's very talented. The band's great. He put out Currents, and it was one of the best albums of the year last year. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like, the things he was doing in it, you're like, the combination of like genres and sounds. You listen to that whole album, you're just like, there's like 4 music genres in here.
Yeah. And I mean, the nice thing about being older is if I like a band and I hear they did a really weird album, I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
It gives me faith in them, like, oh, I get to like you for a long time.
And that's the one thing that should, I think, be taken away from like the current state in music, is that you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
So if you are sitting there like, all right, we've put out 2 albums that are like hard rock hits, but we want to, do another one where we like introduce a little bit of electronica or country or folk or whatever, or a mash of all of it, and we don't know how it's going to sound. I mean, the cost, the risk is all very low now.
Yeah.
Just fucking put it out.
Yeah.
It's not like MTV's going to stop playing your shit. They're not playing anybody's shit.
Yeah.
Are you worried about the radio? No one's on the radio. No one gets their music from the radio.
Yeah.
Write the album, record it, put it on Spotify, see what happens.
Yeah.
And then move on. You can do that in comedy now.
Yeah.
You can just do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And you go, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make a series of videos and put them on YouTube. I'm going to record an album and put it online. No one can tell you not to.
Yeah.
And then time will tell whether what you did is good or bad, or just a stepping stone to the great thing you did 3 years later, or so on and so forth. But like, now's the time for like people like this to become the next, Bowie or Prince or whatever, because the tools are at your disposal and everything's free.
That's what I was thinking. I wanted to like, if there's any like thing people should do because of the death of David Bowie, it's like emulate that dude.
Yeah.
Like,
and see where it takes you.
For real, everyone go out and try to be a little more like David Bowie.
I tweeted that today. I was like, today should be National Dress Weird Day.
He should have a holiday.
Yeah.
I bet they should have one in England for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, just go, like, try to be like that dude. He did it right.
Yeah, go do something that you normally would be like, yeah, I'd get looks for that, or people would make fun of me, and then do that thing.
I'm looking at his Ashes to Ashes video. He dressed as a mime.
Right.
Guys, do you realize the bravery it takes to dress as a mime?
Yeah. How many of you dress like a mime ever in your life?
Yeah.
Not counting Halloween.
And made it work? Do you understand how hard that is?
Yeah.
Fucking Modern Love, that's a banger. That's the hit when he was like super preppy looking.
Yeah, that was a big one.
Great hair. Got an untied bow tie on. Fuck.
I think Man Who Sold the World, was the album cover where he was just wearing a woman's dress.
Really?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's it.
That dude.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it. And that was his third album.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people, and he was just like, I'm going to wear a dress. And that was like
1970 whatever.
1970.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's... Dude, I mean, I don't know, man. There's not a lot... You don't get a lot of people like that pass through the world and like leave that kind of mark on any society, you know?
No.
So
he conquered the whole world and did it for a long time and did it right, and it was fucking... He's Bowie, man. That's what... When that guy... When Alan, the writer of this book, said that, he goes, you gotta understand, all anyone wanted to be was Bowie.
Yeah.
That punks who were all about just like, fuck everything sucks, but not Bowie. It's like, no, we're just trying to be Bowie, man. This guy's the shit.
I always had a repulsive need to be something more than human.
Oh,
That's
man.
weird.
I hope after, you know, I hope Iman talks about him. I would love to see like a long interview. Like, tell us about that guy, because he's. I mean, the mystery around. Like, I don't know a lot about him personally, or you're just like, yeah, he's the best thing ever. Like, I want to know what that dude was sort of like. I'd love to hear his kids talk about him. Like, this is what he was like at home.
I'm the opposite. I think
you don't want anything.
I think everything we need is out there.
Yeah, I mean that's true for sure.
Yeah,
you don't need. He gave us plenty.
Right.
But again, I mean, I looked up what kind of watches the guy wore. I saw a picture. I was like, "What's that one? I don't recognize. What the fuck is that?"
Yeah.
So I looked it up. I priced him. Very reasonable.
Very reasonable.
Yeah,
funny.
Dude didn't wear an outlandish watch. Very normal.
Yeah. I think we have everything we already need. You know, like the getting in. I mean, there's a reason he kept his personal life personal.
He was smart.
Because he was giving you everything that he wanted to give you, and then you took it, and then we've carried that impression of him along, which is all that is. If you're an artist, you're giving out your impression of you and the world, and then the fans and whoever take that and they go, great, that's David Bowie. But when people start digging into all the other shit, it's like it'll change.
It pollutes it.
Yeah, it changes your perception. It's like, well, so what if he fucking, didn't care about the environment enough, and you really do? You're gonna like the guy less now?
Yeah.
He was not caring about the environment when he fucking wrote Hunky Dory.
Yeah.
So there's no difference.
Yeah.
But then it'll like plant that fucking seed in your head where he, did one or two things that you don't agree with.
Yeah.
And which, for the most part with artists are minor little things, but you go, oh, I thought he was cooler than that. It's like, no, you didn't. You don't know anything about him.
Yeah.
You know his albums, you know his movies, you know this, you know that, and that's all you should be left with.
But man, that guy, he's so great. You sound silly saying he's great because it's just about the most obvious thing in the world.
Yeah.
Like, it's like saying water is wet. But David Bowie, David Bowie was just so David Bowie.
Yeah,
he's saying his name.
Bowie about it.
Bowie, like he's the David Bowie of being David Bowie.
Yeah, man. They don't make them like that anymore.
I wish they did. There's a lot of people trying to pretend they're going to be David Bowie.
Who's going to be the next, like...
Dude, I don't know.
We don't have one now, I'll tell you that.
I think they're under the age of 21 if they exist at all.
Probably.
They're going to come from a place we had no idea they were going to come from.
I hope so.
I don't think it's America.
Yeah, I mean, it usually isn't.
I think it's somebody who's gonna take a bunch of shit and combine it in a way where we're all going to be like, whoa.
Yeah.
And they're going to do it in a way that's so mind-blowing.
Yeah, they're, a healthy, like, society of any kind needs people like this. You need to have artists that are doing things like this that, like, fucking unify, that bring people together and go, we can enjoy this. This is an expression of, who we are. But there isn't that now. I mean, who are the big stars now are, like, Justin Timberlake and Katy Perry and Lady Gaga and Taylor Swift and people like that who are like, fine, they have talent, they can play instruments and they make good pop songs, but like, I don't know that. I guess the closest would be Taylor Swift. Like, she's making a mark and she's touching people because she writes her own music and it's like, well thought out and all that stuff. But the rest of them are they came out of a fucking laboratory.
But even with Taylor Swift, it's like, where's the weird bravery? And maybe that's not her taste.
No, she's a pop star.
But she has the power to do it. People would go along with her.
Yeah, there's no unique, weird sort of like, oh, that's coming from the depths of your fucking twisted soul. There's none of that. But I mean, she's not that type of artist, and you can't knock her for just not having that in her. She does what she does very well.
I guess you could say Kanye. Kanye is... Yeah. He's a creative dude.
He's creative and weird, and there's a lot of love-hate for him. His music's good.
Yeah. Kanye pushes it. I think it'd be... We can't, not mention that, dude.
Yeah, he's very heavily involved in the style world.
What you said about personal life, his personal life ruins a lot of shit for me.
His personal life is, it's way too out there, but that is the difference between then and now.
Yeah.
I think then there was obviously no gossip magazines, no TMZ, no internet, so people could just I want to know this, so we're going to dig and find out, and then it's everywhere. People just chose what they put out there,
Yeah.
But now it's like your insides or your outsides.
Yeah.
They're all over the place, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
You marry someone like Kim Kardashian, it's like, good luck having a private life in any way anymore.
Yeah.
But, I mean, maybe that's a part of who he is as an artist, where he's like, there is no secret.
There's no naivete. He didn't, meet her when she was unfamous. He went for that thing. It was there was something about that appealed to him. So, whatever.
Who knows what that was.
Yeah. But no, dude. This is a rough one.
It is, man. It is. I woke up. It was the first thing I thought of when I woke up. I opened my eyes and I was like, fucking David Bowie's gone.
Yeah, man.
The whole drive home from San Diego last night, I just listened to Bowie the entire way. And then I woke up and all morning was just it was just Bowie.
Yeah, so my suggestion to you guys listening, go out, get all the Bowie music you can get your hands on.
Yeah.
Go get a fucking sweet Bowie t-shirt.
Yeah.
Draw a lightning bolt on your face. Put a lightning bolt on your cat. Do whatever. Get a tattoo.
Yeah.
Go get your weird on, man.
Yeah, go get a little mini lightning bolt somewhere.
By the way, if you want a pin, if you think there aren't plenty of David Bowie pins out there.
And if you think in the next 3 weeks there aren't going to be 50 times more.
We're about to be in a David Bowie enamel pin renaissance, so ready yourself.
Yeah.
You're going to see Homer Simpson with the lightning bolt on his face.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to see a lot of that, so if that's going to be your thing, get ready your bank accounts, ready your PayPal, because it's about to get busy out there.
Right.
Yeah.
And, I mean... If you haven't gotten into the music in any way, it's all obviously online: iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify.
Try to go in order. I think that'll be a more rewarding thing.
That's a good way to do it with him because you get to see the evolution of an artist pretty much. But
because there's hits along the way, you're gonna get a hit every
every album has one, maybe
song
two
you already heard and like.
But what's good about him is a lot of his albums were concept albums.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of best of Bowie stuff, so I guess you could do that and hear, these were his hits. You'll come across a couple where you'll be like, oh, that was Bowie, but listen to the fucking whole albums because you get an idea of what this guy was doing way back then. You listen to Ziggy Stardust and Diamond Dogs and Space Oddity and stuff. It wasn't just a collection of songs. They were conceptual pieces of work.
Yeah, everyone knows Space Oddity, but it's what was the song he wrote to go with it? What is the song he thought was a good idea to put after it on the record? That shit's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of there's a lot of stuff on there where you could go. Signet Committee is a great song on that album. God Knows I'm Good is a really good one. But those are songs where you're I think I've heard this, but you're yeah, that's a fucking Bowie song, and that was on an album where you only ever really heard that one, the actual song Space Oddity on the radio and stuff.
Yeah.
And Hunky Dory is a good one. His first 5 albums or something like that, 5 or 6 even. And then he gets a little more experimental and different. He goes into dance stuff in the 80s and stuff after Heroes and all that shit.
Fuck Heroes, Jesus.
Yeah, by the 83 or something, Let's Dance came out, and then
Heroes is a huge hit you've heard a million times that you could hear a million more times, and it does not bother you in any way.
Yeah,
I've never turned that song off.
Yeah, I mean, and that was just one of the ones on the fucking album.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's a lot out there. I mean, but I would start from the very first one and go into the mid 80s.
He was in a couple bands before he was David Bowie too.
Yeah, when he was way younger.
Put out some stuff. Look up that clip of him defending men with long hair. It's funny.
Yeah, there's a lot out there now. I mean, you should fucking type it in the Twitter search bar at Google, and there's just like 1,000 articles coming out of it.
You could have a channel. You could have a David Bowie channel on television.
You could.
Easily.
But yeah, that's another hero.
Yep.
Gone.
Hero's a good thing to call him. Dude's a hero.
Another legend.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. I hope this wasn't too much of a bummer episode, but it's on everyone's fucking mind. It's definitely on ours. So we were going to do something
We're going to pretend to not. We were going to do something different that if in red, like...
It would have been hard to get through without bringing him up.
Real stupid to do it.
We would have gone on like a sidetrack, and then it would have turned into an episode about David Bowie anyway. But you know what? You don't get a lot of these guys in life, so when you do and they're gone, you talk about them, you pay your respects in whatever way you want. Anyway, I'm going to go listen to David Bowie for the rest of the day.
Do the same.